Welcome to the Flights of the Round Table Podcast, broadcasting from the Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina. And now, here are your hosts, Dan, Drew, Daniel, and Florian.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are the Flights of the Round Table Podcast, and we're coming at you with an action-packed, smoky episode. And we have the pleasure of having the owner of Biscuits, Briskets, and Beer, Chris Ryker, joining us. Chris, thanks for having us here.
Hey, thanks guys for having me on. And you almost got the name right.
Oh, you missed it.
Singular briskets. Biscuits, brisket, and beer.
Okay. There you go. Singular.
But you got the order right, which usually most people mess up. So kudos.
Because you're like, we just want to be known as one brisket.
That's right.
We're not
That's
getting
it.
plural in here. Okay?
No. I mean, if you want to, we can.
I was practicing last
I can
night.
tell. It was good.
I had
Like
it
I
on
said.
note cards.
Like I
I
said.
like how you said coming at you, not coming on you. It's a really, like, one word made all the difference.
Yes,
You know?
yes, for sure.
Dad, I wish I could have seen you in the mirror last night. It's like, I got this intro.
Imagine he's like, coming on you. Fuck, coming at you.
Look at myself. Come on, you got to be great tomorrow.
That's good. Yeah, but thanks for having us here.
Yeah,
Chris, really
thanks
appreciate
Thanks
it.
for coming out. Thanks for making the trip to the big city of High Point.
Hell yeah. So your guys' motto I noticed on Instagram is "We smoke the good stuff." So
Yes,
really,
sir.
what's going on back there in the kitchen? You know?
Well, if we told you everything, then
Yeah.
what's the point, right? No, but yeah, it's a funny little play on words.
Right.
Obviously, it's unique, it's catchy. Eventually we'll get it on a T-shirt or stickers or something like that. So me, I like dumb sayings, like funny things that have multiple meanings like that. So I mean, like, to me, it just it made sense, because it's catchy, it's something you remember, and I try to tell that to people, and they're like, "Man, this is so good." And I was like, "Yeah, that's why we say we smoke the good stuff." And they're like, "Oh man, that's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Smoking that good green."
Yeah, it just it gives another level of way to people to remember us and what we do and who we are. So
For sure.
So you don't employ any Rastafarians?
No, not currently. Not currently. But we don't drug test either. So I mean, like, I might, and they just may be really good at
I
hiding
hope
it.
next time I come back here is like, you bumba clad.
Smelling two different types of smoke. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Yeah.
What happens to the bad stuff?
There is no bad stuff.
That's good.
That's a
Yeah, Dan,
what type of
stupid
question is that, Dan?
Fuck off.
Wow,
You were ready to get.
That's a great answer.
And they let you do the intro.
I know, right?
Wow. All right, so we're doing this again.
Yeah. A couple episodes
World's
ago.
shortest podcast. I'm done here.
We just got smoked.
Yeah, we did.
For everybody listening, though, Chris, you also have a pretty decent following on Instagram, known as the NC Beer Pride. Tell us a little about that, what that's all about.
Yeah,
there, too.
so that kind of started in 2017, kind of at my height of craft beer for the state of North Carolina. I had just been let go or fired. Now I can say I've been fired. I've settled with myself that I've been fired.
Really?
Yeah. It was the only job I've ever been fired from.
Were you doing bad things on the internet at work?
Define bad things.
DraftKings.
Not doing the actual work that I was paid to being doing. Yes. So therefore bad things. Okay. But I've been working since the day I turned 16, and this is the first job I've ever been fired from. So I was fired. I was frustrated. So I was home at night, just up all night, just thinking, because I'm like, man, I got a wife and kids. I'm got to be able to support my family here, stuff like that. So. And then I just, I had this idea that just kind of popped in my head. I was like, well, wait a minute. I was like, there's gay pride, there's brown pride, there's black pride, there's all these other prides. But I was like, but there's nothing for craft beer.
Huh.
I'm like, and North Carolina's got a pretty stout craft beer scene. So I'm like,
No doubt.
why don't I just start North Carolina Beer Pride? So so the idea kind of, it kind of blossomed in my head and kind of came to fruition. And the hardest part was just figuring out, like, well, what do y'all do? Because that was our number one question when we started getting out there. Well, what is it? And, like, what do you do? And, basically our little elevator spiel is like, hey, look, we promote the craft beer scene for the state of North Carolina.
Hell yeah.
So so that turned into, me just going out and visiting as many breweries as I possibly can, and, getting to know the people in the industry. And, I had worked at a brewery here in High Point as well, too, Brown Truck. And, just saw how passionate people were about their craft beer.
Besides Charlotte, what city would
Yeah.
you say in North Carolina has the best craft beer? Just in your humble opinion.
Besides Charlotte, obviously, because that's where y'all are from. I mean, Asheville has always been the mecca. I mean, Wilmington Brewing Company, massive. I mean, they're the OGs in Wilmington. Bill's Brewing Company. We actually carry some of their beers here. They drive from Wilmington. They're a self-distro. They come out and deliver to us.
You
Yeah,
drive how far of a drive is
3.5,
that?
4 hours.
That's
somewhere
incredible.
Yeah, depending
That's
on
incredible.
traffic like that.
Wow.
So I mean, but that's the relationships that I've built over the years with all these people that they're willing to come. Here, like there was breweries that were like, hey, look, we don't deliver to High Point. Like there's nothing there, but since we know you, we'll come up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so like Resident Culture was that way with us. I've known them before they even opened. I got to know Amanda and her husband really well, and they're just been great people. So I don't know if it really answers your question. That's
No.
really
So
long
yeah,
answer.
for everybody listening, as always, thanks for coming in, listening to us. That's Chris. That's our guest today. We're gonna get into smoked meats. We already tried some. All I gotta say is that shit is
Amazing.
delicious.
Wow.
We're gonna get in some beer. We're gonna do our typical thing. But as always, if you have not yet, follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Titter.
Titter?
He's thinking about something
TikTok,
else.
Wow.
anywhere you want to. Catch us there. Appreciate the like. It goes a long way.
Yeah, subscribe.
So yeah, that's what we got for today, guys.
We know what you're browsing on Twitter.
Yeah, I know, right? It's already in my mind.
It's the new platform.
Yeah.
Dan did say something about Twitter today. Only 600. You
Yeah,
can only see
there's-
600 something.
There's some new stupid rule that they have. It's like infuriating.
So stupid. We're not going to talk about
We're
it.
not going to talk about it. But we're going to talk about a popular debate in the U.S. Coke versus Pepsi. And I know everyone here has their own opinion. So, Chris, I want to start with you. Where
Yeah.
do you stand on that spectrum?
Unfortunately, I have to blame my parents for this, but it's going to be Diet Pepsi.
Oh my
What?
God.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
So you're
That
team
is-
Pepsi, though, then, is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
I mean, if I had a gun to my head, yes. I mean, but growing up in Connecticut, I mean,
That's
literally.
the ultimate scenario. Gun
Yeah.
to your head.
Would you like to
Yeah.
make that a reality?
To have a gun to my head or drink Diet Pepsi?
Yeah, this really.
Whoa.
I was going to say, I was like,
The shortest
what
one.
are we
Dude,
talking
right.
about here? There's a
The
couple
man
questions.
feeds you
Yeah.
brisket and you threaten him because of Pepsi? I mean, he's clearly wrong, but
Wow.
damn.
Hostile. Okay, well, then no more turkey or anything like that.
Yeah.
I
Clean
do
up all the
remember.
samples. Let's
But
go.
Diet Pepsi.
Yeah,
whoa.
that's all my
Yeah.
parents drank. So that's all that was just in the house. So it was just like, I don't know, just, that's all we drank. And so like anytime that like I'm like fiending for a soda or something like that, it's just like, oh man, yeah, I guess the Diet Pepsi, because it just brings back things. I mean, we used to eat like, anytime we get pizza, from that local place up the street, it was just like, okay, get the pizza and then like get a 2-liter bottle of Diet Pepsi.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and it's funny too because I really didn't realize it was a thing until like my older brother said the same thing. Like he was like, oh yeah, he's like, all I drink is Diet Pepsi. I'm like, what? And he's like, oh dude, because that's all mom and dad had. I was like, oh my god, that's right. It was just ingrained into us at a very young age that it's just like, hey, this is you're drinking soda, this is what you drink. So I don't drink much soda anymore these days, but if I do, it's not my first choice.
Okay, so we got Chris
but-
at Team Pepsi.
Yeah.
We got Team Pepsi.
Who's battling for Coke? Who's battling for Pepsi?
Me.
Who's better?
It's Coke. Okay.
Why?
Okay.
And it's like the most classic soda ever. It's just straight up original. It's OG. Fucking my family never allowed soda in the house. Like I was never allowed to have it. They never bought it.
It was horrible.
If I did like chores and got a little bit of money for doing the chores, right?
You were
I wasn't
homeschooled, weren't
like,
you?
I never even thought about going to get. I'm not homeschooled. I was just never allowed to even think about soda. But then at my friend's house, they always had Coke, and I fell in love with it. It's amazing. Yeah, dude.
This
his
man
house-
over here
His
had-
house was great, dude. He had one of the best pantries of growing up. It was amazing.
There was
Pop Tarts out the ass.
There was always that one friend that had
Yeah.
like the stock pantry that all the poor kids.
and I had
I was one of 5 kids, and my mom didn't work, so everything was, had to get on my dad, and we were
Yeah.
like all within my brother was 79, my sister was 80, I was 81, then it was 83, then 85. So 5 kids in a very, very short period
Gotcha,
of time.
gotcha.
So at one point, my youngest brother was 13, my oldest brother was 19, so there was 5 teenagers in the house.
When you were saying those years, I thought you were saying ages, and I was like,
Oh,
you look great for 80, buddy.
For 81, I feel good too. So smoke meats, man. So that's the secret. That's the secret.
You hiring? No.
So it's funny that we went over to Dan's house when we were in high school, and his mom, first off, it would only be diet though. That was the number
Oh
one
yeah,
key.
it was always either diet or zero.
Yeah.
Caffeine free.
But they
diet or
had
something.
every diet you could imagine, from Diet Sprite, Diet Coke, Diet Fanta, Diet Ginger Ale,
Diet root beer.
Diet Root Beer, Diet Dr. Pepper, everything. Your mom went to the soda aisle and bought every diet thing she could find, I swear.
It was probably there. It
Wow.
was on sale.
Maybe.
But it's also worse for you. That's the fun.
I
That's most
feel like
ironic
it is.
Part
Yeah.
of it is.
Yeah.
Like chemically, like the less calories, yeah. But what's going on the inside? You know.
Okay, and one last point for Coke. One of my all-time favorite drinks. It's not a classy cocktail at all whatsoever. It's like the poor man's fucking Negroni, I have no idea. But it's Coke and Fireball, and I don't give a shit. I love it. I love that so much. That's like a
High school.
No, you know what it tastes like? It tastes like, those Haribo gummies, the Coca-Cola bottle ones?
Yeah,
that's exactly what it tastes like. It
does not.
dank.
It does not
It
taste
does.
like that.
It's so good. Whatever. That's my thing.
Dan, Coke or Pepsi?
I'm a big Pepsi guy.
Oh.
No, you're not.
From up north, dude. That was the main soda up
Yeah.
north. You're right. We'd go get a pizza, or you'd go out, and it would be like Diet Pepsi, or
Yeah.
do you want a Pepsi, or they had the Sierra Mist. So everything in that spectrum. I was a big Pepsi guy. I also think the logo is cooler than Coke. Coke is just a
100%.
standard Coca-Cola. I can even see it back there. You got the cool Pepsi, the red,
Yep.
white, and blue. And then, just think about it, from a,
So it's an American thing? Is that what it is? You're tying it into a...
just
Yeah, you're
saying.
not American if you don't like Pepsi better.
Wow.
Yeah, and I just think it also tastes better.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're just buying into corporate America if you actually think Coke tastes better.
Well, if
First
you
off,
think about it, he literally read the label back to you. He's like, it's classic. It has all these things. I mean, I was like, wow, he's reading the label. So yes,
yeah,
it was
are you
clearly
here for
ingrained
Coke?
into you.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Pepsi actually is sweeter. It's definitely cooler. Their marketing is a lot better.
Yeah.
It's just Coke just owns more of the country. I mean, it tastes better.
Yeah,
Pepsi tastes
why
better.
is that?
Man.
Why do more people in the country like Coke?
You'll have to ask
It tastes better.
JP Morgan. I don't know.
JP
Morgan Chase.
I want to say something. All right, so I'm a Coke fan. I'm gonna stick with Coke.
Cool.
The soda?
Yep. And one thing is, if I was dying,
Thank you for clarifying.
If I was
Yes.
dying, and if I was in the middle of a desert, and someone came up to me and like, "Listen, I'll give you something to drink, but you only have a choice between Coke or Pepsi," I'm thinking Coke for sure. The only thing I'm thinking about is a McDonald's Coke
Yeah.
with a little extra syrup in it or something like that. It's the best thing I've ever had in my life. And I would get that. I wouldn't even get in a can. If I was stranded in the middle of the desert,
Yeah.
I'm not getting a can of anything. I'm getting a McDonald's Coke.
Daniel,
Second off,
That's two brands right there.
Yeah.
Daniel, speaking of that, McDonald's gets their own recipe from Coke?
Yeah.
Like they
believe
have
That's
their own
why.
recipe.
That's
No
why it tastes so
way.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like they put extra bubbles in there. Shit is
Yeah, my
crisp.
first job was at McDonald's, and it was completely different.
So
Wow.
cool.
Oh, you can confirm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Look, we all love an underdog story, and eventually Pepsi is going to overtake Coke. You just
might.
wait, guys. You wait.
I don't
Pepsi's
know.
coming for
I
you.
got
Shout
one
out-
question. Did Coke ever give away a Harrier jet?
a Harrier jet.
Yeah,
What?
Pepsi did.
To
Pepsi
who?
did back in
All
the day.
right, tell
You
us
had
this-
to-
tell us the
remember-
story.
I don't know if you remember, like back in the day, like you had to collect all these points.
I think I do remember
And
that.
they actually had a commercial out there. They were like going over all the things. Oh, this many points get you this, that. And then like at the end, it was meant to be a joke where it's like, oh, you collect 2 million or 2 billion points or whatever it was, you can get a Harrier jet. And somebody actually collected that amount. They actually have a Netflix documentary out there. Like,
And
just
so he
with-
owns the Harrier jet.
I think they actually ended up suing Pepsi for it because Pepsi was like, that was a joke. And it's like, no, it wasn't, because you advertised this for this many points. I got this many points. Where's my jet?
How much
Yeah.
money do you think he had to spend to do
Yeah,
that?
so I think there's, because I recently
Fine.
brought it up, is how something like, it was like documentary, something being like, something about that being like, hey, the guy who won the Harrier or the Summer or something like that, where they Pepsi ran this whole like crazy promo where you had to collect these points off your bottle caps and stuff like that. So
That's
Last thing about Pepsi, it is from North Carolina, so shout out to Pepsi because it's from North Carolina.
true facts.
Yeah.
We can say
I
that.
wonder if a Harrier jet has a catalytic converter in it.
That's funny.
But as we said, folks, we have Chris Ryker, the owner of Biscuits Brisket and Beer, with us, and we've had some wonderful briskets so far. So for you, Chris, what do you think personally? Which region do you think has the best barbecue?
wow, that's a loaded question.
So what was to be like the four contenders there? Like
Yeah,
for
so
our audience that may not know.
I think that'll probably be the best answer because usually I try to stay, pretty.
Sure.
I don't like to make hard cuts, right? Like I don't like to say like I'm a Republican or I'm a Democrat because you automatically alienate 50% of the people.
Yeah.
Sure. Right. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things like Michael Jordan famously said. He said, "Hey, Republicans buy shoes too."
Yeah.
Right. So even though he was a Democrat, he's like, "Hey, look, I gotta be able to cast the widest."
Can you
net
imagine
possible.
you go to a Trump rally, pure Crocs
Oh
and
my gosh.
sandals? They don't actually, Jordan. They don't.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's a hard one to say what is the absolute best. I think every region does things very, very well. So I mean, like, for example, so like Central Texas is your Texas style barbecue, which
Yeah.
is your brisket and everything like that. I mean, Texas has its own scene. North Carolina, I mean, shoot, the state itself couldn't even figure out what they like better.
Yeah,
it's
true.
split into two. You know,
Vinegar, ketchup.
vinegar based or ketchup based. You got Eastern and Western North Carolina, and then even South Carolina has their own
They
you
do.
know style for things as well too. But you can't count out St. Louis. I mean, they have their own scene, and even
Kansas City model.
Yeah,
So St. Louis, like just real quick, like key ingredient people could relate with that makes it St. Louis.
ribs.
Ribs.
Yeah,
The
okay.
ribs. I mean,
Yeah.
when you
The
think
rub
St.
isn't
Louis,
different?
Yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, because they more have a dry rub rather than like a wet sauce on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, me personally, like when I was smoking like pork ribs and stuff like that at the house, like I always loved just a dry rub on it because it just you can taste the rub and it just paired very well with the meat without people, because a lot of people, what they tend to do is they tend to just over sauce things.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you don't like the taste of the meat, you like the taste of the sauce.
Yeah.
True.
You know, so I always liked it where it's like, well, hey, I want the meat to be the star here, but you know, again, not cooking just for me. So like my wife and kids would always like sneak behind my back and be like, all right, get the sweet baby rays, pour it all over the top, and I'm just like, if you do that, just don't do it in front of me. Or don't spend 6 hours doing this. so
Some
you can
kids
just
take
slather
like
it
a
in
dollar
sauce.
bill out of their mom's purse. That your kids are pouring
Yeah, yeah.
barbecue on meat.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, you know, but yeah. So I mean, every region's different. So yeah, I mean, I'd say, I mean, just the main four that everybody thinks of anyway.
And then-
It's Texas, you know, North Carolina, and then you can even go like St. Louis or even Memphis style as well too. Tennessee has
It's Memphis. What's a little like you said ribs for St. Louis? Memphis
and Memphis is kind of the same exact way too. You
Yeah,
know,
I think
they
they
do a
both
lot of
have,
ribs,
yeah.
and you know they have their hot. You know, even Nashville even has its own hot chicken. I mean, everybody kind of has their own little take on it. And
Does
I think
that
that's
count
what,
as barbecue, the hot chicken?
I mean, yes and no, because like if you
Depends who you ask.
I was gonna say exactly, because if you ask somebody where we grew up, hey, we're barbecuing this weekend. What's that mean? You're throwing chicken on the grill
Yeah.
and you're putting barbecue sauce
Yeah.
on it, right? So to somebody up in the Northeast area, that's barbecuing.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah, but they're thrown in a fryer.
yeah, I mean, so it just depends. You know, it just
no.
depends on
Why are you the way you are?
on where you grow up
Yeah, I'm
and
just saying.
Hey,
I want
but-
clarification.
yeah, but
here.
no, but that's a good point. But again, I think that boils down to, you know, where you grew up and what your definition of barbecue is, right? So, and that's the beautiful part about, you know, the barbecue community is that everybody is so different and everybody has their own things and everybody has their own definition of what barbecue is, because it's not a set, you know, 2
Right,
plus
there's
2
no
equals
rule.
4.
Yeah. Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And like you said, yeah, there is no rules in barbecue. I mean, you have your basics. You have your people who like to do it true to style, but then you also have people who like to go way outside of the box and do their own thing, because that's what separates them from the person down the road that's doing something a little different, right?
Right.
But that's the beauty of it, right? So I mean, it's kind of like beer, right? What's your definition of beer, right? You know, I mean, obviously there's 4 main ingredients that has to be there for it to be considered beer, but you can take and go a million different directions with it.
Right. So you're pretty relaxed when it comes to the whole barbecue and the diversity there. But have you ever met anybody that's just like die hard, would get pissed off if they're just, my region's not the best?
Yeah, I think you can find that anywhere. You know, I mean, I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of people who get that way, and that's great because, you know, you want people who are passionate, because usually, you know, that what most people perceive as like anger or like, oh my God, he was just way over the top. It's passion. So there's a lot of people who are very passionate about their barbecue and where their barbecue is from and what they define as barbecue. But, you know, in reality, which is great because that's what makes the world go round. But in reality, it's like, dude, barbecue can be anything you want it to be.
Yeah.
I have a quick question. Is barbecue more determined about how you're making it in the state you are or where you're getting your cut of meat from?
It's more determined about in the state that you're in. Because, I mean, you know, again, you can get, let's say a brisket, right, for example, right? So you can take a brisket, go up into New York, and what are they going to do with it? They're going to turn it into pastrami,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah, you're
Or
right.
they're going to turn it into a roast
Cats.
beef.
Yeah,
right?
Reuben.
Yeah, or, you know, during Christmas, you know, the Jewish community, I mean, that's just what they do. They cook briskets, right?
Yeah,
But they're not
right.
smoking it. They're chucking it in the oven.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
So it really just depends. So the cut of meat is indifferent,
So
right?
is that how it gets at that red color?
Yeah, so it's actually pickled.
Oh,
Pickled
it's
and brined.
Pickled.
Yeah,
you're
pickled
right.
and brined.
That's corned beef then.
Yeah,
I had
well, so
no idea.
corned beef is exactly because it's corned.
Yeah.
And the corn, so you have what they call corning spices, and that's how you get a corned beef. Because a corned beef is just brisket.
Yeah.
So you can
Really?
prepare. Yeah, you compare the meat. You can prepare brisket 100 different ways. And the funny part is, what a lot of people don't really realize, understand, is that brisket used to be a throwaway cut. That's why it became big into like the barbecue scene, because again, like I was explaining earlier, it's like barbecue at its purest form was like back in the days of like slave works and stuff like that. It's like, you know, the slave owners, like they got the premium cuts,
Yeah.
and then they just kind of threw unfortunately, they just threw the slaves like the scraps, and then they were able to take it and say, well, hey, look, I can take this throwaway cut of meat and be able to like cook it in a certain way where it's like, wow, this
That's
is
culture.
actually really, yeah. So,
Almost better.
Exactly. So back in the day when you had like your local butcher and you'd go see him and blah, blah, this and that, like brisket, because it's a working muscle on a cow. You only have 2 briskets per cow. It's in the front. It's, you know, where the front legs are. So it's a working muscle. So it's going to be tougher. But yeah, so what they used to do is they used to grind it down and make burgers out of it. So when you're getting a gourmet burger these days, what is it? It's ground brisket, it's ground chuck, and it's sirloin, right? And they charge you through the nose, because that's how burgers used to be back in the day. Because it was we can't sell this, so grind it down. Let's make burger patties out of it, right? But now, once people have found out that it's like, man, you can make some really dang good barbecue out of this. Price of brisket has gone up, and it's no longer a throwaway cut of meat.
Yeah, in 2023, brisket is the perfect meat to be around. You know, it doesn't identify as one single region or anything. You know, very diverse cut of meat.
Yeah, I mean, and this, you can do the same exact thing with pork as well too. I mean, there's so many different cuts on a pork that it depends on the region, right? I mean, like, and even the country, right? Because pork is a big staple in a lot of like Vietnamese countries and like the South Pacific, because the pigs are wild over there, and they cook it and prepare it in a completely different way than, you know, you would here, let's say, in North Carolina, pork country, right? So to answer your question, yeah, it doesn't matter the cut. I think the region is the main defining part of that.
So would you rather eat? Would you ever eat a cut of vegan brisket?
Vegan brisket. It's funny. I have one lady who comes in all the time, and she's like, "When are you going to do like a tofu brisket?" I was like, "No."
Dan. I point the camera at Dan right there.
She's a really good sport about it. I think she does it more to tease me, but she's a vegetarian, so she comes in, she gets her fried pickles and fries, and she's an extremely nice lady. But she asked me, I'm like, I don't know. I'm like,
Hey, what do you say to that?
I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the simple answer. And then like the more I think about it, like, because she's come in multiple times, and we've had some fun banter back and forth, but I'm like,
why won't it work?
I don't even like, because again, thinking so tofu, if you know what it is, it's like a soy-based product, and it's usually because like, my wife is a vegetarian. She used to eat tofu all the time.
That's ironic.
That is
she's still a
certain
vegetarian.
dynamic.
Not anymore. It was funny because she was a vegetarian basically her whole life until she got pregnant with our first kid, and then like we're living in Connecticut and we're over at my friend's house, and she just like stops and looks at us, and she's like, "I want a McDonald's double cheeseburger," and we're like, what?
I got the taste of beef.
Dude, yeah, we've never like dropped what we were doing so fast and hit the McDonald's drive-thru. We're like, we can't believe this.
That is so funny, guys. He owns a brisket shop, and his wife used to be vegan. I mean, that is just,
Vegan or vegetarian?
I love
Vegetarian.
that. Vegetarian.
Okay, so what animal products did she eat then?
So yeah, it was a lot of tofu and stuff like that. So
But that's not an animal product?
No. She wouldn't. So vegetarian, obviously, you're not eating animal product.
Not even eggs? I thought they eat like
No, yeah. So yeah, she would do eggs. I mean, because there's different ways to eat. So vegan is like where you're not eating like
anything,
no cheese,
honey,
stuff like that. I mean, and there's some who even go to the point where it's like I don't wear anything leather or anything that has animal products in it, stuff like that. I don't use shampoo and conditioner that has animal. I mean, there's
I don't even look at animals.
yeah. So anyway, yeah. So
shampoo and conditioner has animal products in it.
I mean, certain products.
Yeah,
I don't know. I was just using that as an example. I have no idea.
Bull semen.
Yeah.
What do you think it gets that white hue from?
I was going to say, what do you think it lathers so
That's
well?
why you have that shit in your shower. I knew it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Of course. Nothing lathers the scalp more than bull semen.
So we've seen people on Instagram like smoking watermelon too. No interest there?
Yeah, but that recoil is stupid. I saw someone smack the shit out of him. Like, damn.
What?
Should I call her?
A recoil on watermelon?
Yeah, the smoked watermelon, he smacked
Was it
that
recoil like that? Like his
It
brisket?
was like that. It was crazy.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah, so that's really weird. But I've seen people like grill it, but smoking it,
they smoked it.
Well, the hard part with doing all that stuff, and going back to the question about the tofu, is that like tofu, like when you get it comes in almost like a water. Mm-hmm. So and it's very wet. Yeah. So the problem with smoking stuff is that you're not doing it at a high temperature. It's low and slow. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's one of those things that's like it'll fall
start
apart.
Steaming.
It'll start turning to mush. Yeah. With tofu. So I mean, because tofu isn't really like super firm like a meat would be with like soy proteins and stuff. Yeah. So I mean, so to smoke it would just kind of fall through like the grill, and you just end up with a huge mess and a bunch of wasted time on your hands.
I wonder how they kept the bark on there, like you said, without it turning into soup.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know.
Crazy.
Yeah,
they probably smoked
I don't want to know.
They probably smoked it for like 10 minutes and called it a day.
No, so Florian, did they show the video of it in the smoker?
No, I don't know.
Or was it afterwards?
Are you talking about
No, it was in.
Are we talking about the watermelon still?
Yeah, the watermelon.
Did they cut the rind off it, or is it still?
That's what I thought because it was bark all over.
I think it was the
You
rind
would
was off.
have
It was
to.
just the
Yeah.
inside.
There's no way
So-
it's penetrating that
Yeah.
rind.
So what
Yeah.
what they would probably do is they probably took the rind off, seasoned the heck out of it on the outside, and then put it on some smoke just to create the bark. But
Yep.
watermelons are so watery that it's like once you, because the thing is like once you get that bark developed, like the smoke and all that stuff's not going to really penetrate that. So I always tell people too, like when you're smoking like meats and stuff like that, so the first 3 hours are most important, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what develops your bark, that's what develops your smoke ring, that's what develops all that stuff like that. Anything after that, you're just trying to maintain your temperature because now you're actually trying to cook the inside of it.
Evenly.
Yeah. So with the watermelon, it may have been that like they may have only had it on for 3 hours to kind of get that outside going, and then once the outside went, then it was like, oh cool, we did it. But obviously it wasn't. I mean, I don't know. I didn't see the video, but
I'm sure there's a limit to what you can take with that before it turns into soup. I mean, at the
Yeah.
end of the
Oh,
day,
for
like-
sure. I mean, if you left it on there for
have
like
a
a full,
charred
for
watermelon.
12 hours or something like that, I mean, I'm sure it eventually would have just fallen apart as someone
Yeah.
to go pick it up and grab it. So
Yeah, ruin the smoker or the grill.
That's
at that
crazy.
point.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm thirsty. Let's get into our first flight of the day.
Ooh.
I already
Sweet.
drank it, but
What was it? What was it?
Yeah, what was it?
yeah,
Florian?
okay. First thing, it's by Untitled Art. It's double peach fruited sour, which we're starting a new thing here. We're doing a pairing, okay? So that's what we're going to try to do.
Our pairing of the week.
A pairing of the week, okay? Well, that's what we'll call it. Mind you, to the audience, this is
or
the first one.
WEAK?
So if this sucks, I am responsible for that. But I did some research, okay? Apparently cheese goes really good with sours. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm not sure. Do you like blue cheese? Are you a blue cheese guy? Do you even like cheese?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Certain cheeses.
Yeah,
I'm not a
this
blue
guy's
cheese fan.
lactose intolerant, so
Not really.
Kind of.
Hey, listen, we've all smelt that shit.
I was
that
going
you
to say, I was like, you guys got a nice little car ride home with him.
Okay,
So.
Dan and I, we're like
me
blue
up.
cheese.
Oh yeah,
we're
blue cheese connoisseurs.
sluts.
Steak
Okay.
and everything.
All right.
Yeah.
So what you're saying
This
is
has a crazy funk and it's green. So that, yeah, smell that. That's
What's the
funky.
expiration
Is
date
there
on
not a
that?
stank?
I
on
bought
that?
it yesterday, so if the grocery store is selling me expired cheese, then
I can smell that from here.
It
Yeah.
smells expired.
Yeah.
I wouldn't eat that.
you wouldn't even eat that.
I mean, I'm going to try because I
I'll
have
eat
to
it.
here.
I'll do it for the pod then. And then we have here a truffle cheddar from
see a truffle cheddar.
That sounds better.
Fiscalini. Yeah, get that open. My hands are.
so much.
I don't know if I want to eat that.
Yeah, Florian, that pairing is all you, brother.
Yeah, I'll do it.
That one smells really good.
I'll try the sharp cheddar.
that smells real good. That one does.
Yeah,
Florian,
that's exactly how it's supposed to smell. I'll eat
Yeah.
that shit.
I'll try it.
Florian,
Here, yeah. So break that off. You guys can, if you guys don't want the blue cheese, I will. Anyway, there's still some beer in here, so do a little tasting. But anyway, we're just gonna. You've all had blue cheese. Not sure how big of a fan you are of it, right? But you have your baseline for how much you enjoy this. So let's just see if. And I don't know if you've tried that yet.
I did. I took a little sip. It's pretty good.
Okay, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
What would you think
guys-
about the beer?
It's good. I mean, Untitled Art does a lot of really good things very well.
They do, especially this one. This one's really like hits the note of what you were trying to get. I feel
Yeah.
like.
I agree. Well, while we're passing this around the table, Chris, you got any hot takes? Just on anything in life?
Something crazy that happened to you. Something crazy that happened here at the store. Something
That's two
happened at
completely
your
different
house.
questions. But
Something that happened in your house. I'm just giving them ideas.
Yeah.
Something that you tried recently. You're like, damn, this shit is overrated.
I don't know. Right now, like I'm in a weird place in my life right now. I'm 41, about to be 42. I have older kids. I got 18, 16, 13, and then 3.
holy cow.
Yeah. So
was 3 an accident? Be honest.
3 was the result of a friend's 30th birthday party.
Nice.
Yeah, but I will say it's our only daughter. We have 3 boys, so I
big
wouldn't.
time.
Yeah, I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's funny because
Hell
when
yeah.
we went to go tell people that like, hey, we're having another kid, they were like, oh, and they're like, but it's a girl. And we're like, oh, hey, congratulations. So it went from like, what the hell are you doing to, hey, that's not too bad.
I wonder
was-
what the next would have been like if you're like, and it's twins.
Yeah.
And they're both boys.
Good luck.
That would have been. Oh.
Yeah.
And they're conjoined. No.
Dan, I'm just saying, me and Daniel are both turning 30 this year. Yeah, you and the wife, if you pop out a little one.
I wouldn't count on it.
Okay, all right. Okay.
That ended very quickly.
Shut that
And
down.
no.
Well, that's awesome, Chris. I'm
Yeah.
glad she's nice and healthy and your
Yes.
whole family's doing good. A hot take I had though, we were talking about this in the car. Alcohol. You got to be 21, right?
Yep.
Everybody's created differently. I think that's stupid. That it's an age thing. I think you should take a competency test. like you go to the DMV to get a license, you go to the DMV to get an alcohol license to drink it.
Interesting. Well,
Agree, disagree, love, hate?
I would say I'd probably disagree because after dealing with the general public, working retail, not so much here. All of our customers are absolutely phenomenal.
Nice.
I used to drive a truck, for quite a while, and then, like I said, I worked retail when I was younger. Most of the general public's pretty stupid. So the competency test, I don't think that would be fair because there's just some people that just.
We had that
breweries would go broke.
conversation. We had that conversation in the car. We said, would we all pass the competency?
I was going to say, I was like, depending on this, because I was never a good test taker. So it's one of those things where it's just like, look, I'm pretty street smart, but like, you sit me down and like, here you go, here's number 2 pencil, and make sure you fill in the bubbles completely. I'm just like, man.
Oh, that was
let me just make some designs instead and just hope for the best.
I was notorious, especially 10th grade of high school, where I almost did not pass 10th grade. I almost had to go back, and it was pretty much up to an algebra final, and I had to retake. Yeah, she let me retake it. Thank God, Miss Avon. But there was one test.
Shout out.
There was one test. During that year where I just didn't give a fuck. Like I was starting to do some illicit activities that really melted my brain cells. And anyway, one test I just put C for everything. All the way down the fucking board. That's how little I cared. I still passed. I passed, but I don't even remember what my score was. It was crazy.
Yeah. Well, that should tell you that like C is always the answer. Always. If you can't figure it out, go C.
That's what I was banking on.
That is nuts. Can you pull that test out somewhere?
Yeah.
So you went C the whole way.
No, I can't pull that. It's because it was those
the Scantron. They had to put it through that machine and everything like that. Yeah.
I've not cared to the point where I've drawn a little picture, and this is, I'm just trying. I don't even care to put all C's. I'm just trying to really draw a nice picture,
Yeah, on those type of tests where I didn't really care when it said do not draw here, I always put okay, like just to let them know, hey, okay, I won't draw here. Like don't write in this area. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you have the heart of a rebel. Right
yeah.
there.
So but like I said, school wasn't my strong suit. So but it just proves goes to show that even if you don't have a college degree, you can still live the American dream and open your own business. And
I do have a college degree and I don't use it at all, so it was a complete waste of fucking $20,000 right there.
Of your parents' $20,000.
No,
really?
I paid it back.
Good.
Yeah,
boy.
it was my money with
Good
interest.
Can you tell that I have older kids? One who's about to go to college.
Yeah.
Speaking of, you brought us this wonderful, wonderful brisket.
Yep.
And
which we got some turkey over there.
we
if you
got
guys
some
wanna
turkey
get into
over
it.
there too.
Way.
Yeah, we might have to.
What I want to look at is what do you think is the most underrated, piece of smoking a brisket or doing barbecue? Like what is like that people don't realize is actually super important?
Yeah, so especially when it comes to a brisket, because I get asked this question a lot here at the restaurant because we get a lot of people just kind of come up and we're like, well, hey man, like how do kind of like what you were saying, like what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
Like what's different? What do I need to do? So I think the biggest piece of advice that I give people right off the bat is do not ever buy just a part of the brisket.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is there's 2 parts to a brisket. You have a flat and you have a point, right? And a lot of these places will just sell either just the flat or there's some. I've actually seen some places that will sell just the point.
Is that budget cut type of thing?
It's just I think it makes it a little more affordable for people.
Okay.
And
You're losing a lot of the big part where it has more fat. You want that to go into the smaller part.
100%.
Right?
Yeah. So what I always try to tell people is like buy the whole brisket, and they're like, well, I don't need 14 pounds. It's just me and one other person. I'm like. It makes great steak
Just
and
buy
eggs.
the whole thing.
It just makes great steak and eggs in the morning, and so you multiple uses for the thing. Chop it up, make tacos on Tuesday. whatever.
Taco Tuesday.
So that's the biggest thing I try to tell people is like, well, what did you do? And they're like, well, I bought just the flat. I'm like, you'll never get it to this point.
No.
It'll be dried out because there's not a lot of fat on that. And the other thing I try to tell people too is like, well, I did all that and I did the whole thing and it was still dry. Then you're over trimming. Okay. I at the restaurant here, like I don't trim anything.
That was going to be one of my questions to you. You talked about the underrated process. How do you? Because I know that's a big thing. Like I see, the TikToks, the videos. People are like, make sure you properly trim your brisket.
Leave a quarter inch of fat.
Yeah.
But the problem is with that is that every cow is different, right? No cow is the same, so every cut of meat is going to be completely different, and that's where you have to have kind of the knowledge and the expertise of just doing it, being like, okay, there's not a lot of fat on this thing, like. Leave it alone.
Yeah, definitely
right?
not cut on that one.
Yeah.
So you don't ever trim the
I don't
brisket?
trim. No, before
So
we put
would
them on.
that be a hot take? Would you say you're in the minority there?
At most barbecue places, yes, but let me caveat that with that, like when we're putting it on and we're seasoning it, we're not trimming it, but we'll trim on the board.
So you're saying like if
Gotcha,
you got like a
gotcha.
big brisket that had like a lot of fat in this one section, you're gonna
Yep.
cut that tiny fat off at least, and then that's it probably, right?
No, I mean usually I'll just let it go.
let it go?
Yeah, I'll let it go.
I'm
because,
gonna start doing that.
Yeah, because I mean all that fat eventually will start to render down,
yeah.
and if it's like a super big thing of fat as well too, and usually you get that, and it's kind of near the top part of the point. As we're cutting into that and we're slicing all that. And there's like a massive like chunk of fat there, right? We weigh everything out at the restaurant, right? So I don't want people to be paying for fat, a ton of fat, right? You want to leave some fat on there
Sure,
because it's
sure.
brisket, right? So that's where we'll do our trimming. We'll do it on the board so we can kind of get a feel for it. Because other than that, you're literally, because we get charged by the pound, right? We got to buy these briskets by the pound. We're literally taking money and throwing it in the trash.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
That's true.
Especially if you over trim, then you're like, oh man, look at all this and this and that, and it's just like you add it up, it's like, oh, it's 3 pounds
3 pounds,
potentially,
4
right?
pounds.
So here
And
would
you're
be
paying,
my
you know, a good freaking portion for that, and it's like you do that over the course of hundreds and thousands of pounds, it all adds up, man.
So here would be my query to that. It's like, okay, so if you're trimming after the fact, you're obviously getting the end of it.
Yep.
So you're cutting off some of the bark. You know, that your seasoning that you so
Yeah.
hardly tried to put on there.
a little bit of it, yes. So yeah, but you know, again, like you don't want a customer's, you know, one big mouthful to be just a mouthful of fat too,
Yeah.
right? And especially if it hasn't rendered properly and this and that, and then hopefully with the other pieces that you've given that customer, there's enough bark and there's enough stuff on there they can still get that all that flavor that, you know, we've worked so hard to put on there. as well, too.
Here's one thing about the brisket that you and I've got to try. I'm usually a super big into fat, but that brisket was so juicy and so like the little tiny strips of fat in between.
Yep.
I didn't even need that huge chunk of fat
Nah.
like I usually like, you know.
There's
Yeah.
the perfect
It was
amount
so
of fat
good.
in each
Yeah.
strip.
Yeah. So good.
The way you cut it up, there was one section that was you could tell, like how you showed us before, where you can tell the lining of the fat, right?
Yeah.
The way it looks like. So there was one giant chunk in there, and it looked like it was mostly fat. And I'm more of the lean guy because I like a little bit of texture
Yeah.
to my barbecue. That was pretty good, that fatty piece. I ain't gonna
Yeah.
lie to you.
I mean,
it was
so
very
like I
good.
said, if you're doing the brisket right, I mean it should be rendered down. All the fat that's on there should render and be just basically if you put it in your mouth, it should just kind of like melt.
Yeah.
Right. And that comes with time on the smoker. It comes with you know, doing it right, and making sure your temperatures are right, making sure your timing's right to give it enough time to do that, and that it only renders with time. So yeah, so to kind of encapsulate all of that, because you kind of want that to be like the perfect bite, where
Sure.
you got a little bit of that fat,
Everything,
because
yeah.
fat equals flavor. But at the same time, like I said, it's up to the person who's on the board carving that day to be like, hey, that's a lot, right? Especially if they only order a quarter pound, let's just say, like on our lunch special or something like that, and half of that quarter pound is fat, the customer's going to be kind of ticked, you know?
Sure.
I wouldn't like that either, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Too much fat, you get sick. You know,
Yeah.
you feel a little queasy.
sure.
It's
I mean,
a lot.
But again,
what do
it's
you think
like-
happens to me? He's like, where we live in Rock Hill, there's not really that much good food. but
Dixie Pig.
There is this barbecue spot that's like known in Rock Hill. It's called the Dixie Pig. I'm not sure if you're familiar. We went there to eat. We got our classic barbecue, and then he asked. What he does is you like to ask the staff there, like, what are
What's
you
your
known
favorite
for, right? What's
Yeah,
your
I can't
favorite?
read it. I'll
Yeah.
tell him I can't read, and then I tell him that like I need to know the top. I need to know the
Well, I'm
top
not-
3 things or the number one thing this place is known for. That's what I usually
Okay,
do.
so
can't
you
read.
asked them, and then funniest story.
like
This
that.
guy gave us so much information that we didn't really need. Like one thing was he's like, I'm an ex-felon. I'm like, well, we didn't ask about that. We just asked about what your
He
favorite
can't,
thing
he
is.
can't read, so he was giving way
Yeah.
too much information
Yeah,
too.
this
So he's like, I
guy-
guess
Yeah.
we're at that point in our relationship already.
He told me a
I'm a
sign.
convicted
I mean,
felon.
yeah, he's a Capricorn. I mean, he told me everything. And then he was like, yeah, you should get the pork belly. Or no, he said you should not get the pork belly, but we didn't listen. Dude, let me tell you, I took a bite of that pork belly, and then like I'm notorious for eating my food just like my drinks. I get it done like quick. Like I enjoy it that way. It is what it is. I eat fast, I drink fast.
Yep.
I stopped eating halfway through, and he's like scarfing down his food, and he goes, "Dude, what's wrong?" And I'm like, nothing."
I'm good.
but like some like, and I can tell when I'm really fucked up is that like I can feel like you can see on my body what's going on, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
we walk out of there, and he goes, dude, are you okay? You're white. I'm like, dude, I don't feel good at all.
Whole body
Dude,
turned
that
white.
pork belly was so fatty. It was like fucking, oh my God, it was ridiculous, dude. It was way too much fat. I don't know how they cooked that shit. It was disgusting.
That's
And I'm not like, I don't like the fat. I like lean meat, right? But you can make it juicy. Like, your fucking brisket is soft.
So it's
okay,
perfect.
it's amazing.
Perfect.
And he's like the guy that loves like the fatty cuts. And you guys did it right. Like I said, when you sliced that brisket, I saw that chunk. I was like, I want to be fair because I eat the lean meats. I picked the lean cut and I picked the fatty one. Fire.
Yeah.
It was really good.
If it's done right.
Look at me. I'm not turning white right
Yeah.
now.
You're still with
You're
us.
dark as hell.
You're still with us. You're still talking.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, if you can do it right, it's fine. I mean, but it all depends on the person, right? Because I mean, there's some people that come in, they're like, dude, as lean as humanly possible. I'm like, so I'll like slice it up, put it up, and like, can you take that bit of fat off it? And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. I mean, it's just like, then why are you ordering brisket? You know, I mean, then get the turkey. But I mean, but again, I mean, I think a lot of people there's certain people that just like certain things a certain way, and we try to accommodate as best we can. But yeah, pork belly, it's a tough thing, man. It's gotten kind of again another one of the quote unquote throwaway cuts until people figured out you can make bacon out of it because that's where your bacon
nice
comes
and
from.
thin. Nice and thin, baby.
Yeah. So that's where bacon comes from is actually pork belly. But so you get a lot of these hobby smokers that try like, I'm going to do a pork belly. I'm going to make my own bacon, this and that. But you don't understand, what you don't realize is that like literally like when you're getting bacon at the store, it's already been cooked and cured.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You get the raw pork belly, none of that stuff has been done to it. So a lot of these places, don't really know that or understand that, and they're just like, cool, we're just, throwing on the smoker with some seasonings, and then, here's your result.
The palest man you've ever seen.
Pasty white man over here.
Now, Chris, you smoke meats, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever had a smoked beer? Because what we have for today, our new beer release of the week, guys. This is not released yet. Divine Barrel has got a Big Lebowski. It's a smoked lager, okay? Trying it here first.
We're the first people to try it.
First people to try it. New release beer of the week.
Be honest.
Tell me what you guys think.
Be honest.
It's all smoky.
It's
It's definitely smoked.
It's kind of like beef jerky a little bit, you know?
That's
Beef jerky on the. For some reason, I feel like this pairs with beef jerky. I don't know why.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just straight up say like I've never been a huge smoked beer fan, believe it or not. Just because I've had so many bad ones that like taste like I'm drinking a campfire, and I'm just like, this is not pleasurable to me.
I don't think it's like that, though.
But this is good.
It's good.
Divine Barrel. It's really hard because to get a smoked beer, you're smoking your malts and stuff like that, and your grains, and that's how the smokiness kind of gets into the beer itself, and that's how you create that flavor and stuff like that.
So you're not like smoking the end product.
No.
Okay.
No.
So you're
I mean,
smoking-
That's what I
smoke with the beer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of the same way when you hear people being like, "Oh, we made like a stout or something like that," right? You're using like a chocolate malt or something like that, something that's in there that helps create. When you're boiling the wort is what it's called. It creates that flavor and that stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of beers that kind of go overboard with it. But I think this is a good balance. Would I drink 16 ounces of it?
Probably not.
15?
Yeah, 15 and a half,
14
maybe.
and a half.
Maybe.
Yeah, this one's a hard, like, I really
You have to really like it.
You have to really
Yeah.
like it, and then I feel like this has to be.
It's growing
you,
on me.
You drink it when you're eating your dinner.
Yeah.
I don't know if I
That's
can.
a-
It's not a crushable beer, but it's
No.
just like I want you guys to rate it for what it is.
A
Though. Not like
crushability-
compared to the best beers out
Right.
there. but
So a crushability
smoked lager.
factor of about a 1.5, I would say.
Out of
That's-
what?
Out of what?
Out of
10?
10.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Okay, so 1.5 out of
Jeez.
3 is pretty good,
Yeah.
but 100, it's
10.
not very good.
It's its crushability factor is low, but
Yeah,
to
it is
like
low.
a very like niche thing, like if you're eating like maybe barbecue or just like I
Yeah.
don't know, something like that for dinner, yeah, I could see that being like you could give that a 6.5 to 7 out of 10.
I could see that.
I think for me, this is one of the ones, like, if I was just sitting at home, I could have, like, 1 or 2 of these and be able to just relax on the couch. You know what I mean? It's not something where you're right. I'm not outside crushing these, but I could sit and have a couple of these.
Yeah, I feel like if I was kind of hungry and thirsty, not starving, but a little hungry, and I drank this, I'd be satisfied more than if I didn't have a beer that was smoked. So,
I agree.
shout out James, shout out Divine Barrel, new release beer of the week. Got to check it out. I think it's coming out June 14th. So, be on the lookout for that.
June 14th already happened.
Oh, you're right.
July 14th.
Hey.
Coming out July
I was gonna say,
14th. Check it out.
2024?
So, Chris, we like to do drafts on this podcast.
Drafts,
and one of the
drafts,
things
drafts.
that we thought about, which I think would be pretty good, is a combos draft. I'm going to let everybody go around, but things that just pair together that are, the best at their respective industry or position.
Yeah.
So, who wants to start?
Let's take it 3 rounds. Florian, why don't you go ahead and start? We'll go around the table. Florian, Daniel.
Okay, I know Dan's going to say this one, so I'm glad I'm taking it from him. Light beer and golf.
Ooh.
I didn't actually write that one down. That's a good one.
That's
good
a
combo.
fucking
It's a good
sexy
combo.
one. A nice Coors Light and a fucking fresh 18. Give me that all day, baby.
I can do a better one than that for golf. I mean, honestly, the new thing for golf, this is not mine, but the new thing for golf is golf and transfusions.
Fusions,
I heard about that. What's your
Yeah.
actual pick, though?
It's pork chops and applesauce.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Ooh.
That's a really good
Oh,
one.
that's a really good one.
That's
yeah,
a great combination.
Yeah, holy shit.
Movie theater popcorn and a slushie.
Okay, not
yeah.
bad.
Okay.
Not
I'm
bad.
thinking outside the box there.
Extra diacetyl on the
Yes.
on the popcorn.
Oh, yes.
Excellent. Excellent. You want it on your popcorn, not in your beer.
I like that term. For me, I'm going to go with the new one, Netflix and chill. And we all know.
Okay.
We all know which one of those we want a little more.
Yeah, very nice.
All right,
That's
interesting.
good.
Okay, you guys. I feel really bad then. You guys really brought it. I was gonna go old school from my childhood, like Mario and Luigi, man.
Oh, that's
You know, I mean, I grew up on the Super Nintendo and regular Nintendo, so to me, it was that was the first thing that popped in my head. So,
Hell of a duo. Have you
I
seen
like
the
that.
new movie?
no.
It's okay. I'll
Is
say
it-
that.
okay.
It's okay.
It's just okay? It's just okay. I've heard mixed reviews.
Yeah.
Okay, this one's a little niche, right? But I swear if you haven't done it before, you definitely should. Sake and Sapporo. You throw that together and make a sake bomb. God damn.
Well,
like
the
that.
sushi place right
Yeah.
there happens to carry both of those items.
Oh,
There you go, Flo.
and it just so happens that when this whole
just so
establishment opens, I will be drinking that.
Daniel.
All right, I'm gonna go with this. People are gonna probably be like, I don't know about this one, but soy sauce and wasabi.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
100%.
I think it has to go together. And here's one thing, I want to say, I don't really like spicy. I can handle it a little bit as long as it's a little bit. But wasabi is a different type of spice. It's a strong spice. They're not
Yeah.
really
It's
spicy.
like a sensation.
Yeah, sensation.
almost.
Now, when you put that with the soy
feeling.
sauce and you dip your sushi in there, it'll change your life.
Interesting. I was never a wasabi guy. For me, you said Mario and Luigi. I'm going to keep it just in that realm. Tom and Jerry.
There you
Ooh.
go. There you go.
That's good.
Classic. I grew up thinking I would live my life seeing a ton of cats chasing mouses.
Yeah, I've
You
never
have to
seen
see it, but one day.
happened.
My next one is going to be classic. Start your morning right. It's the best meal an American can get: bacon and eggs.
There you go. Classic combo. I'm going to show my age a little bit. Back when we grew up, there was always the newspaper, and you had to read your movie reviews from Siskel and Ebert.
Siskel and Ebert.
Yes.
Ebert.
Yes, they were like the duo. That's where you got your reviews for your movies. Is this a good movie or not? How did Siskel and Ebert rate it before there was Rotten Tomatoes or anything like that?
Siskel and Ebert.
Wow.
Yeah,
I never heard of that.
I like
Yeah,
that.
dude,
Never
they
heard
would
of that
literally
before.
go and watch every single movie, and they had a whole column in the paper. Back when that was a thing. So wow,
Hell yeah.
Back
Are we
when
going 3
back when
rounds
there was
or
a
4?
TV guide.
3 rounds, baby.
Okay.
We could go for it.
I'm going to say Brazilian women and big butts. I mean, shit. You put that 1 and 2 together. That is a combo.
Kamaruski.
How could I do better than that? That's amazing.
yeah,
I only
yeah.
I
think
feel
I'm
like I set you up for that. Mine was such a flop that yours just
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
but
whatever,
that
whatever.
can match up against a lot
All
of
right.
combos. I can
All
tell you
right,
that.
that's true.
Brazilian women and big butts.
All right, I
That's
guess I'm
right.
going next.
All right.
I smell this cheese over here. So pronounced, so predominant.
Pronounced.
Either way,
Like a word in the dictionary.
Yeah,
Pronounced.
I guess my thing is peanut butter and jelly. I mean, that's just if that's
Sure.
not the best,
It's a staple.
it
Yeah.
wins probably. If you're on that one game, you had to pick the top, whatever it is, the Family Feud or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They're picking. That's number one.
yeah.
It's a good one.
Dan?
Florian, can I help you?
Yeah, by all means, give me your 3rd rating.
Steak and blue cheese.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
bad. Not
well,
bad.
We got
I think
half
it's
of
a
the
great
shit right
answer.
here.
It's good. It's good.
I would have gone wings and blue cheese.
Ooh.
Hey, I love that too.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Like,
I've
I'm
seen that.
next, right?
Yeah,
Then Chris
yeah,
goes,
yeah.
wins the blue cheese.
Sure, you got one.
Yes, I do. I mean, this is very simple, but it's a staple in life. Every household has it in their house. Salt and pepper, baby.
Yeah.
Salt and pepper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
Good, I had a
That's-
clap for that one.
That's all we. That's the only spices we have in the restaurant.
And yeah.
It's the way to do it.
All right. Well, since I'm the last pick of the third round, again, speaking of drafts, right? There's always that one team that overreaches for their draft pick.
Yeah.
Something that could have been in the 8th round, they pick in the 2nd.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm gonna end it on this one: pineapple and pizza.
Oh,
Just to be super controversial.
No, that's a great one because we even had a topic in our last episode or a couple
episodes
episodes.
ago.
A couple episodes ago, and
Pineapple on a charcuterie.
I literally you can go back and look. I told people that if you don't like pineapple on your pizza, you're crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of get the sweet and savory type thing.
You do.
And then pineapple on a charcuterie board, as long as you do the candied pineapple, it'll
Yeah.
work.
That's where he won now. He got you.
Stipulation.
So he has been watching, and you fucked up because regular pineapple is not the good thing. Candied.
It's too wet. It's too wet. It'll
Wow,
get
I
your
feel
board
like an
all
idiot.
nasty.
Yeah, charcuterie has to be very
Yeah.
held together,
Exactly.
It's like smoking a
Finger
tofu.
foods. Finger foods,
Char-
right?
yeah.
It's something you can grab
think
easily
of
with your finger.
charcuterie,
Wonderful.
And you're not 3 years old. You're not pulling pineapple out of little cups,
Yeah.
Correct.
Wonderful
So-
draft. Chris. Go ahead,
Times 2.
Chris, is Gillette the best a man can get?
I have no idea. I have a beard.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the wrong person to ask that to.
It's the best a little kid who's learning to shave can get, I guess.
Would you ever cry over spilled milk?
I don't believe so. I'm never been a big. The older I get, the less I'm like. But my daughter, she's like, give me milk, give me milk, give me. I'm just like, all right, yeah, here you go, here's milk. No, but me, I've never been a huge milk person. I made the mistake of doing half and half in my cereal one time, and then just
Like half milk, half water?
No, like half and half, like the
half and
creamer,
half.
in my milk, half and half, and frosted
I was like,
flakes.
do we need to leave a tip after this?
Equals projectile vomiting for me. Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah,
like
that's
it kind of
a
like
thick bowl of cereal.
yeah, it was very gross.
There
But when you grow up with 5 kids and it's survival of the fittest, and it's like, shit, this is all we got. All right, I'm doing it. And it's like, this is actually really good. And then it's like too much of a, too much fat and too much of a bad thing. It's
Well, just imagine
fun.
your parents are making like a nice steak dinner, and then for your drink, you're drinking 2% milk. Like, what the fuck?
That's disgusting.
That's like
all right,
that's
listen.
thick as shit.
All right, I grew up on Diet Pepsi and 1% milk.
I didn't even know they made 1% milk.
Oh yeah, they
They
make
did.
1, 2, and whole.
Yeah.
One, yeah.
They skipped like
Skin-
98 numbers
They
right
do
there.
skin 1, 2, and whole.
Oh, yeah.
Skin.
Skim.
Not
Skim or skin?
Skin milk.
Yeah, there's no
Skinning the cows.
They can't put
Is it
skin
skin?
in the milk.
Is it skim or skin?
Skim.
Honestly, I thought it was skin my whole life.
Is that Pam or Pan?
Yeah. Where do we stand on the
Skim
pan
or
situation?
skin?
Speaking of milk,
Shit.
there was a time where I made a bowl of cereals and I was eating it and I was like, this tastes just a little weird. And I just kept finishing. I was like, whatever. So I finished it and my wife goes, did you drink that milk? I said, I did. She goes, well, it's been expired for about a week. I said, oh.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
You see how dedicated
Yuck.
I am to not wasting food, honey?
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
I am finishing this
Yeah.
one way or another.
Just for the principle.
It was definitely not a good thing.
No.
For brisket-wise, if not your brisket,
Mm-hmm.
where in the North Carolina area would you recommend?
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah,
That's very
where's the
hard.
cream of the crop?
Yeah, that's
hate that term.
that's a very tough and loaded question.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be completely honest. Owning a restaurant, you don't get out very much. Sure. To try other people's stuff, but very early on, there's a place in Jamestown called Black Powder Smokehouse, and they were kind of the standard for the area. And their stuff was really, really good when they first opened. But honestly, I haven't been to a lot of different places, if I'm just being completely open and honest. And at the same time too, it's like if I go to a restaurant now, it's like I'm probably not going to get the brisket just because I'm surrounded by it all the time.
True.
And it's one of those things too that I don't know. I'm weird like that. Like I will judge a place by their brisket because a brisket is the hardest thing to do. It's kind of like when I go to a brewery, I'll judge them by their lager because the lager is the hardest beer to make,
You're right.
which a lot of people don't know that.
Exactly.
We do now.
We do know.
The longest process.
Yeah, it's the longest process. That's why you see 15 IPAs in one lager because you can
Like,
turn out an IPA in
cheap.
15 days, but a
Yeah.
lager has to lager, and you can't hurry that process, and it's like 30 days in the tank. So that's why a lot of places don't make it. But if you can make a lager really well, you know what the heck you're doing because there's nothing to hide behind.
There's this
So
place
he knows his
that's
beer.
That kind of skirted the question a little bit. So I feel like kind of like a politician where I answered your question with a different answer.
Right.
Okay.
You gave us an answer though.
But guys, let's talk
yeah,
about this.
Yeah, but Black Powder is really good in the area.
That's where you said?
It's in Jamestown.
Jamestown.
Yeah, and they
in
actually-
Virginia, right?
No, North Carolina.
Oh,
Yeah, so Jamestown is kind of a couple. It's a small little town, but it's a
Okay.
couple. It's maybe 20, 30 minutes from High Point, depending on where you're coming from. And they just opened a second location down in Asheboro as well too.
Nice.
Yeah, so I mean, so they're doing well enough to obviously have multiple locations and stuff like that. But I mean, like I said, I mean, I haven't eaten just a ton of brisket. I mean, because and in all fairness as well too, not a ton of places do brisket in North Carolina.
They don't.
Well, there's this place that's sweeping the nation, and I have no desire to try it, actually. Buc-ee's, this gas
Oh,
station.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
they have brisket. They have a bunch of stuff. I've seen a ton of TikToks. Have you been to a Buc-ee's? What can...
Is that insulting?
I have mixed.
question.
Yeah, it's a very great question. I have mixed reviews on that because yes, I've heard about Buc-ee's. I have not personally been into one, but again, like you, I've seen a lot of the TikToks and stuff like that. And like to me, like the minute that I saw them like scrape off all the fat and then literally take the entire brisket and chop it into a ton of little pieces, it like
You're
I was
like,
immediately turned
I'm
off by
out.
that. Yeah, I mean, because like to me, it's just like, dude, you spent all that time and you made all that effort to make the brisket look a certain way and be a certain way, and then you basically just obliterated it. It's like, then what's the point? Then why did you do all that? You might as well have cooked it in an oven and been like, yeah, hey, it's a brisket, here we go, and you still get the same thing. So like to me, like my personal, it's just me personally. So any restaurant out there that does it this way, that's y'all. You do you, like, and I'm not. But me personally, like, if I go to a place and my brisket either comes out pre-sauced or it comes out chopped without me asking for it to be chopped, that tells me that you're trying to hide something.
yeah.
Right? Because you can take a really dry brisket and chop it up and then sauce it up, and you'll never know that it's dry.
So what is Buc-ee's hiding? What are you hiding, Buc-ee's? What do you
Well, I
guys
mean,
think Buc-ee's is hiding?
But that's
What
the
are you
thing.
hiding?
But they're making sandwiches out of it too.
That's
right?
true.
So like,
That's true.
there's only two situations where we chop our brisket here. So if you got brisket sliders, we chop it because it's easier to eat as a sandwich.
Yeah.
And our brisket salad. That's the only time we chop it. Other than that,
Brisket salad.
Brisket salad.
Yeah, so we added a brisket
pretty
salad
good.
to the menu. Yeah, it's
Wow.
we have leafy greens, and then we do our house pickled red onions. We pick our own red onions in house, and then we do shredded cheddar cheese, and then chopped brisket, ranch, and then your choice of the 3 barbecue sauces. And honestly, that's probably my favorite thing to eat personally.
So have either of you three ever been to Buc-ee's?
I haven't.
I have.
Okay.
Oh, you have.
Yeah,
It's-
because he's
it's
in Texas.
From Texas, yeah. It's
Yeah.
a Texas thing. So I've been there. I've driven through it a lot, but I've never eaten at there. I never ate at gas stations. My parents were never like for that. My mom chose the food. It was more a Schlotsky's sandwich or something like that. yeah.
Ivan Shotsky.
But I've been there many times, and they have a great gas station.
I think the closest one is in Myrtle Beach.
Florence, South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Yeah. But they said that they're going to be open. There's talks
North
of
Carolina.
one being one in I think like the Mebane area, which is kind of like Burlington, near where the outlets are.
Yep.
Gotcha. No,
I
based
don't
off
even know where
based
that
off
is.
what
Off I-40.
I've heard, and then Chris's explanation on brisket, you know, I think we were trying to expose some Buc-ee's there. So
Nah,
I will say, though,
that's just my own personal.
no, I got you. For the likes, you know.
It's like cutting the brisket and pushing all the juices out. You do it for the likes, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
it's-
right.
You don't want to eat it afterwards. It's like all the juice just ran out. What's the point of that?
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Flo,
It's
were
the-
you going to say something?
let's talk about the beer. So I just drank it, but want to obviously highlight what we're drinking. From Duclaw Brewing Company. It's called Sour Me Unicorn Farts.
Was this their glitter beer?
It is. It's
it
their
is a
glitter beer.
Yeah.
Glittered sour ale.
Yeah.
It's funny. Daniel actually knows exactly how they made it.
Yeah.
They do it. And
Is this it?
I had to actually go.
Yeah, that's
I had to go and get it.
I was gonna say, I was like, Duclaw is out of Baltimore, and they don't really send much stuff down here.
Yeah, so I had to go get it. I started to go and get it because I had a dream about it. It was a Jack and the Beanstalk type of situation. Where
What does that mean? What the hell does that mean?
If you plant this glitter beer in the ground,
So no, I was like dreaming, just climbing a beanstalk, and usually it's like one of those like the giant golden eggs up there. Instead of it wasn't golden, it was this beer, and it was glittered, and it was a unicorn there,
No way.
and it took a shit on close to me, almost on me, to the point where like glitter went flying everywhere, and I was drinking a beer, and the glitter went in the beer. And that's pretty much what happened from there.
This is like if Biden gave a State of the Union. You're all over the place. I don't know what's going on.
It sounds pretty
What are you
factual.
talking about?
It was crazy, and then I contacted them. We made this beer. We made the beer happen. It had to be a unicorn fart beer.
yeah.
Okay, well, let me just tell you this. This shit is fire. Sorry,
Yeah,
Drew, you hold it.
no.
It's
Yeah.
very good. I would say
I know.
Unicorn farts. Yeah.
if you want to sum up that whole spiel that he gave there, which I don't know where it started and where it ended, I would say that's my favorite beer we've had so far out of the three. That thing
So
is
this, this is not a new beer for them. Like they've made unicorn farts for the last couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
then it's a
been
fucking
seasonal.
hit.
Yeah. No, the
Yeah, it was a
only-
while ago that I did
Yeah,
that.
the only thing I would say is that in this pour, you don't get much glitter.
Yeah.
But the way that they do it is they
Shitty
actually, well, it's weird. So the glitter beers are very interesting. So they actually make it with an edible glitter. Obviously they have to because obviously you're consuming it. And it's funny too because a friend of mine made a glitter beer. And the hard part with the glitter beers is like when you keg them or you can them and stuff like that, you actually have to store the kegs upside down.
Really?
Yeah, in the cans, because what will happen is the glitter just
It'll
always
settle.
just sinks to the bottom.
Yeah.
And so then when you're pouring it on draft,
never
It's
get it.
never going to
it
go
looks
through.
like this, right? So
Yeah.
you have to store it upside down so that when you turn it right back side up,
It's
everything
still
kind
there.
of stays in there. So when you're
Yeah.
pouring, you can kind of still see the glitter and stuff like that.
I
So,
like that.
makes
yeah,
sense.
so that's kind of the hard part with the glitter beers. That's why you don't see a lot of people do it. A couple years ago, it was like all the thing. Like everyone's like, "Oh my god," because it was very photogenic, Instagram worthy, and
Yeah.
people were trying to find different ways to go viral with it and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, this would be my actually first time trying it. So,
Hell yeah.
It's
Daniel,
tasty.
I love how you were able to get the backbone of the story on how that beer was created. That was
Yeah,
great. That
it
was
was
Yeah.
it was a long climb.
yours was
Yes.
definitely a lot more interesting than mine.
more realistic, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it.
It is. If you look from the above, you can see the glitter better.
Talking to the mic.
Do you like it? Tastes pretty good? Or?
Yeah, no, it's good.
It's a
good. Yeah.
nice sour, like on a scalability setting. I like
I never
it.
thought I would drink a beer with glitter in it, and I like it.
I've always
brewed with fruity cereal and edible glitter. Yeah, comes through.
I've always been a fan of like the yellow sours over a red sour.
Yeah,
You
all
know?
day,
For some reason,
yeah.
majority of the time they hit better for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
I like
agree with that.
IPAs.
That's true. That's true. So, guys, are
Have
we
you
ready?
ever had a sour IPA?
Ooh.
A sour IPA. That'll change your life.
A side PA?
That
A
is
sipper?
so. I'm not a big IPA guy,
Okay.
but I will drink the daylights out of a sour IPA because you still get. So the sour, it's weird because like the sour kind of mellows out the bitterness of the hops, but
Sure.
you still get the best of both worlds with it.
Where could we
Interesting.
find one like around our region?
Yeah.
Because that sounds awesome.
I want to try that.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's weird. So it's not like a super popular style
Yeah.
as much. So I mean, yeah, the first one that I ever had was really good. Was by a brewery called Eclipse, I believe. It was just a black can and it was sour IPA. I was like, oh my god! I was like, this style is just unbelievable. So, a couple breweries were making it here and there a few years ago, but I mean, you really got to unfortunately now kind of look for it. But my all-time favorite style is a sour IPA because
Love
you get
that.
you get the best of both worlds.
That's unique. You know, a lot of people
Yeah.
are singular
Yeah.
style, but that's like a
Yeah,
nice
no,
little
it's very
combo.
different.
Yeah.
So which makes it kind of fun. It's kind of like a brown ale, right?
Yeah.
People kind of like brown ales, but like nobody likes them enough where they're gonna kind of make it because unfortunately it doesn't sell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely correct. And you just real quick, Drew, because I know you want to get into it. You're from up in Connecticut.
Yes, sir.
You've heard
Yeah.
of Sip Sunshine, right?
Oh yeah.
That's one of the cans I got in there. 'Cause
Oh,
that's,
nice.
That's,
Oh.
that's one of my favorites. So
There you
I,
go.
I had to
Pull that
ask
Yeah.
you. But Drew, without further ado,
Oh yeah, yeah. It's super casual up in here, guys. I think it's time for our favorite segment: shot or hot.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Uh
So what do you think that means, Chris?
oh. I don't know.
But he's
It could
scared.
mean a lot of things. I've been sitting around you guys long enough to know that it could mean a lot of different things. So.
Yep. Could be.
So what we like to do for all our guests, it's been something we've done for about I'd say 8-7 weeks. You either take a shot of Malort or a dab of hot sauce.
in this
We-
hot
we
sauce
let our
is
guests
from
pick.
Vic. It's
Okay.
From Vic.
From Vic. All right.
So you have to know it's going
If
to be
you're
a little
unfamiliar, Malort is a grapefruit gasoline liquor. Not
Oh,
really,
God.
but it tastes
All right,
like
I guess
that.
I'm taking the hot.
And, this is a 1.5 million Scoville hot sauce.
I'm going to bow out.
So
Hey, if it makes
The
you feel
Malort's
if
not as bad as you think.
If you
All
choose
right.
the hot sauce,
Yeah.
I'll do it with you.
All right.
And
Good
the
to know.
Malort's not as bad as you think.
Okay. Well, as soon as you said like gasoline, like.
well, it just tastes like that, but
Oh,
it's not
okay.
actually gasoline.
All right,
in
we're
it.
good. We're good then.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's
I
made
was
with
thi- I was
100% ethanol.
Yeah, I was thinking like you know gas store liquor or something like that.
Oh,
Or,
God.
C-store
Yeah,
liquor.
yeah.
No, it
or
might as
package store.
it
liquor,
might as
you know,
well
when
be.
you grew up.
It might be.
A package store.
Yeah, that's evidently
A packy.
Hey, a packy, man.
Oh, I know a packy.
Yeah,
Apache?
yeah, because so up in the Northeast, like the liquor stores aren't government runs. They're not
Yep.
ABCs. They're all individually owned and operated by like mom and pops who've had them for years, and they're just called package stores.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's like
Yeah.
South Carolina, what we just did. Southern Spirits, kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
So it was weird coming down here. I was like,
Yeah, North
coming
Carolina.
to North Carolina, it's all
is
ABC. So
ABC
like,
government.
I'd always see like this building. I was like, why are so many people going in and out of this? Like,
Yeah.
'cause ABC where I grew up was a hardware store, or like
Yeah.
it was a national like.
Exactly.
I'm like, do
ABC
people
hardware.
really need this much like
Exactly.
hardware
Yeah.
and plumbing? And
Yeah,
like,
it's like-
That's
and then
what
I'm
I
like,
thought.
oh my god, it's the actual liquor store. Okay,
You're
great.
thinking
That's
you-
why people are going in and out of it so much.
You're probably thinking to yourself, I can get 2x4 and
Yeah.
Svetka? Damn. Damn.
Double or nothing.
Yeah.
All right, so what are you choosing?
What are you choosing?
What's your
Oh wait,
choice?
what's the
Now
the
you-
game?
Oh, you just
literally-
gotta
Hey,
choose.
I
Shot.
literally just do it just
Yeah.
for the hell of it.
Just for the hell of it.
Yeah,
Shot
I'll do
or
a shot.
hot?
I'll do a shot. I'll do it on an empty stomach too.
Okay.
There you go.
Here's
Yeah.
a clean.
So I would
we
have
got a
helped
clean
you with the
flight.
hot sauce. I'm not helping you with the
We don't have
Malort.
a clean flight.
You can pour it,
Oh.
I guess, in your flight.
Yeah, go crazy. Yeah,
go crazy.
So
You
like,
said go
what's
crazy.
considered a shot?
Oh, you just
talking
you
like-
do
little
it.
bit.
You choose it. You
Just
do
do a little
it. You
bit.
know.
Tiny bit. We'll let you
got
pick
it.
your preference here.
All right.
Daniel, you gonna do it with him?
I'll do it with him.
Since you're a
Yeah,
resident.
why
Yeah, I'll match you with the hot sauce. He'll match you with the Malort.
I don't know if I should have smelled it or not first.
Yeah, probably should not have,
I was gonna
but
say
That's fair. That's fair. that's
Yeah,
fair.
it sets a precedent that you don't want.
thank you very much.
100%
Yeah,
sets a
wonderful.
precedent.
Oh, good. I'm glad I got this next beer to wash it down.
Yep.
boy.
Yep. It is.
I think I took a lot.
Yeah. Oh man.
Hey, well, cheers.
This got mixed with the first beer, the Untitled Art Double.
That might
Fruity
actually
Peach
take
Sour.
the
Yeah, the
stuff
edge off.
of it.
Yeah.
The linger effect
Yeah.
is what gets you.
What do you think?
Not as bad as I thought, honestly.
Wow.
It hits your throat pretty hard though.
I mean, it's.
Said one person ever.
I've definitely
Yeah.
had worse. I mean, like I didn't need a chaser, and I'm not dying like he is. So I
We,
mean,
we
What's
had
worse?
a guy.
yeah, yeah. But then again, you did probably pour a lot heavier than I did. So
Either way, just
Daniel,
my
yeah,
throat.
you took that hard, man.
That's just called wisdom. When you get to be my age, you learn. I was like, all right, well, if I'm making the shot, then here we go. It's probably like a half a shot. But
We had a guy on one of our shows who picked the hot sauce.
Yeah.
He just walked off.
Oh,
yeah, that
Walked
would have been
off.
me. That probably would have been me.
He was
I would have.
sweaty.
I probably would have taken my shirt off and like
He
ran
broke
around the
into a
parking lot.
sweat. Like
Oh,
he
dude, like-
dipped out of there.
Some of this stuff, like, and you said it came from Vic, and you're like over. I'm like, I'm good. I'm going with the gas station liquor, like that. I'm done.
But this is like, for some reason, this is like a delicacy in Chicago. Like, this is a Chicago
Really?
liquor. People love this up there for some
I
reason.
cannot imagine why you like
so
that.
nasty.
terrible.
So we were
I
at a
definitely
bar
get
in
the
New
grapefruit
Orleans.
from it, which is really weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the
So-
rinds.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
kinda dry.
It's the bitter part of
Yeah.
it,
Bitter
So
part, yeah.
yeah.
We were in New Orleans last year. My buddy who did lived in Chicago for a couple years. He goes to the bartender and says, "Hey, you guys have any Malort?" The bartender looked at him and said, "Get out."
Leave.
Yeah.
Seriously,
We don't want your kind here.
Get out.
I think I remember you telling me that your buddy got kicked out for that. I was like,
For asking for Malort. That thing, you either love it or you hate it. There is
Yeah.
no gray area.
Wow.
Apparently, it's a bunch of fighting liquid courage.
Yeah.
Drew, you mentioned that's like the gas station type thing. What would you say, Chris, for you? You get gas station liquor, you get gas station beers. What is like the gas station cut of meat?
Oh, yeah. That's a
Oh.
good question.
I can tell you that.
From what animal?
From any.
Yeah.
It's the
Any-
gas station.
anything-
I mean, I guess you do like your big. Is it a big 3, big 4? Pork,
Yeah.
beef, chicken, turkey.
I mean, the first thing that pops in my mind is the roller hot dogs.
Yep.
Those hot
Ooh,
dogs that
yeah.
sit on that
Roller
roller
hot
for like
dog.
weeks on end. I
Yeah.
mean, so that would be and I mean, depending on the hot dog.
Literally sold at gas stations.
Yeah, I mean that's the only place you really see it. So I mean that was the first thing that popped into my mind, but that's probably not what you were asking. So
think
the
that
cut
counts.
of meat.
I think it counts. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, so if I went beef, the cut of meat that first popped in my head is kind of probably like a sirloin.
Sirloin.
You know,
Yeah.
it's a very
Cheap.
approachable. Yeah, it's a very approachable cut of meat. It still has enough fat to give it some really good flavor.
Sure.
I blow a lot of people's minds when I tell them that like fillets are not my favorite because
too.
there's not a lot of flavor to it because it's a super lean
Yup.
cut of
Amen.
meat, and it's just super pricey because you know it's again
supposed
it's
to
from
be
the
the best.
tenderloin, it's from the back strap, right? I mean, and it's supposed to be the best because it's tender and it's like, oh wow, you can, you know. But
If you
to
make
me,
it right.
yeah, I mean, but to me, like I would much prefer a sirloin. Like I'm not a big ribeye guy. My wife loves ribeyes because she loves like the fat and everything like that. But to me, it's like, give me a sirloin because I'm not sitting here like cutting around all the fat and I'm like, wow, look at all this pile of fat that I have off to the side that I just paid for that I'm not gonna eat. So
True.
to me, that would be it.
Am I crazy for? Because
Yes.
I think they all like. Yeah, all right, that settles that.
Done. Next
at least
question.
them two I know are ribeye guys. But am I crazy for preferring a strip over a ribeye?
No, I mean, I think a New York strip is also one of those things as well too. That's really good.
I love New York.
Yeah, because I mean, you have that fat on the outside as well too. But it's also if you get a really good one, it's marbled really
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Exactly. yeah.
But that's the thing too is like people, like 'cause I used to work at Outback, believe it or not, back in the day, and that's where I kind of got because Outback, everything's cooked on a flat top, right? As far as the steaks go, it's cooked
Yeah.
on a flat top and everything
Yeah.
like that, and you couldn't probe anything. You had to go by the touch.
The touch,
The
yeah.
touch. So,
Just because the volume coming in and out.
well,
or-
I mean, plus the worst thing you can do to a steak or a piece of chicken or let's say even a piece of sausage when you're cooking it is right.
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
you poke it with a
Stab.
thing, and then what happens? All the juices run out.
Yeah,
Right.
right,
you
yeah.
you want your end customer to experience and have all that flavor that's happening, right? So yeah, so you basically had to feel it, and that's how I got to be that way kind of with the brisket as well too. And I'll give you guys a little example, which is a really cool piece of advice. And I was working there when I was like 17, 18, so over 20 plus years ago. But yeah, so people really don't know the difference between a porterhouse and a T-bone. And it's literally the other piece of meat. So they both have the New York strip.
Yeah.
The porterhouse has the filet.
And the other one has the ribeye? No.
Sirloin.
No.
Sirloin.
Sirloin, yeah.
it's like a house of meat. Here's the
Yeah, yeah.
bathroom.
It is
Here's the laundry.
complicated, though. It is a
And,
little complicated.
It is.
It is.
And so I think a lot of people kind of use those together, be like, oh, it's a porterhouse and a T-bone. It's like, yeah, it's two different things. So, but yeah, the New York strip, I mean, I think that's a really good
love
cut.
New York
yeah,
strip. God.
because you have that fat cap on the end as well
Yeah.
too. So if you
That's
like that, it's there. But you also get a good meat to fat ratio.
I
with
think
it.
it's easier to ratio it out because you have it all on one side, and then on the other side is mostly lean. Sure, you have like fat intermingled in between, but then you can like cut it to your proportion. You can have like a bite for bite.
Correct.
I,
I think-
love New
Yeah.
York strips.
I think a New York strip, though, if it has to be cooked perfectly. You can go to
It
like
does.
a ribeye
It
and
does.
have it cooked a little
So
bit
what is
less, a
perfectly?
little bit
What
more.
temperature?
Well,
What's
that's
the best way to eat
Rare.
steak?
That's depending on the
Rare.
person.
Yeah.
Depending on the person, but at the same time, I mean, you're gonna if you overcook a strip, it's not gonna be good. It might be good for that person.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be. You go to 10 out of 9 out of 10 Americans, they're gonna be like, yeah, it's not good. You overcooked it. It's not whatever it is.
But you're never going to order a steak for it to risk being overcooked. You always want to cook
Yeah.
right anyway, right?
Correct.
So,
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, but that doesn't always happen. I mean, it's really hard to cook up a steak perfectly, no matter what. Even if you're amazing at cooking
Yeah.
steaks.
True.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so
Good argument.
Y'all want a little tip? Because I know we got camera
Yeah.
too. I was gonna say this is gonna be hard to show on to translate in a podcast, but you guys got camera as well too. So
You doing the finger roll?
do the fingers.
Yeah.
So if you put your thumb and your forefinger together and you push right here on this part of your thumb.
That's rare?
That's rare.
Yep.
So and then you go
Medium rare.
medium rare, something like that. Medium and then like well
done.
done
Yeah.
is the hardest.
The hardest.
Is the
Yeah,
hardest.
'cause you
So
can
that's how
feel
you
that
can tell.
tension.
Exactly.
I was literally about
And
to
it's the same
ask you,
exact
so
way
that's
that's
a
kind of
test.
a general rule of thumbs for.
It is hard to tell though, even
Yeah.
on that. Like
Rule of
you have
thumb.
to
Well,
like
you
practice
have
that.
to poke it. You really have
well,
to poke
But
it.
yeah, that's where you got to talk. I mean, like you can't be afraid to like if you're grilling out with your friends or whatever, and everyone's like, "Oh, I want a steak." I'm like, "Well, hey, how do you want yours? How do you want yours?" I mean, that's a really good way to be like, "Okay, look, hey, or another way as well too. Like a lot of people don't think about as well too when they're selecting their steak, right? They're like, "Oh man, I want the big, thick cut steak." Right.
Right.
You will never get that thing well done.
Never.
Never.
100%.
Never. Right. Or you
Without
will,
burning.
or you will, and
Yeah.
it'll be a freaking hockey puck, right?
Yeah.
So if you know somebody that likes well done steaks, you're grabbing the thinnest one possible because
Sure.
it'll cook faster without burning, right?
Right.
But if you like your steaks rare, you get the thick ones, right? Because then you can get that char on the outside, you can make your little hash marks
You're
and everything
right.
like that, flip it, And then okay, hey, look, this looks done, and by the time you cut into that inside, it's going to be that rare that you want. So
Another example of not the hand that you're dealt, but how you play with your cards.
That's right.
Have you ever been to Vegas, Chris?
I have multiple times.
Are you a gambler?
No, but I did play some 3-card poker and did pretty well.
Gotcha.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, this was years ago. So I used to a buddy of mine used to do all the photography for like Lowe's Home Improvement. So he would shoot like Jimmy Johnson every single year and Chad Knaus, like the NASCAR team and stuff like that. So he would be invited out every, I think it was like January or February for, Lowe's would do their national sales convention. And basically Vegas was the only place in the United States that had a convention hall big enough to hold like 3,000 to 4,000 managers throughout the country.
Huge.
Yeah. So it was at the hotel or Mandalay Bay.
Yep.
So that's where we did it. So we used to go out, every year and do photography. So I'd fly out for free, stay in the hotels.
Nice.
And yeah, it was a pretty cool experience. I got to meet Peyton Manning. So they had him, they had him and his dad as a keynote speaker one year. So we got to hang out in the green room with them. And
They
then,
make a lot of money doing the keynote speakers.
Oh, yeah,
my
they
dad,
do.
they did that with my dad's company too. So
yeah, you make tons of money on appearances and stuff like that.
You
So-
met the sheriff of Omaha.
Yes.
Omaha said, "Huh?"
Yeah.
So Brady or Manning?
Yeah,
Brady or Manning?
I was going right there.
so-
That's where I was going.
All right, so here we go. So I grew up in Connecticut.
Yeah.
I grew up in, obviously I was born in 81, so in 1991, here we go, history lesson here, everybody in my household was going for the New York Giants in the Super Bowl, and I was like, I like this Buffalo Bills team. And 91 was the wide right, and then it was 4 straight years of
Yup.
Super Bowl
Missed field,
losses and
yep.
everything like that. And that was back in the day when the Patriots would go 1-15 every year.
Yeah.
Scott Zolak as their quarterback, right? So I always had a major disdain for the Patriots. So I'm gonna just by
Peyton
default,
Manning, baby.
Peyton Manning.
Manning.
Love it.
I think Peyton Manning
Because
had more
I'm a Bills
skills.
fan. Yeah,
I
mean,
love that.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm for college. Like I've always liked Michigan. So like that's why Tom Brady still walks the earth because he went to Michigan.
Sure.
You know, I mean, like I was an angry teenager. So I'm like, New England's not that far from me. Like I can go up there and just like,
Yell at him.
yeah, you suck very meanly with things to hurt him.
But Connecticut's not part of New England, right?
It is.
Oh, it
yeah,
is.
it's one of the original 13
But,
colonies.
okay, so I feel like they, I feel like most of them though are like.
Who is this guy? how did he make the team?
found him outside.
Honestly, I thought it was like part of the Mid-Atlantic or like New
The
York.
what? The
and-
Mid-Atlantic?
Yeah,
What
like
is
New
it?
York and New Jersey. They're not New England. So.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, everybody
What?
on that side is
Yeah.
New
New
York and New
England.
Jersey is New
yes,
England.
absolutely.
Damn, I don't know my geography.
No, go back and look at the 13,
like the middle school. Like
13 original
colonies.
colonies.
Well, yeah, but North Carolina is an
stripes-
original colony.
They weren't. Yeah, but they weren't part of New England.
Well,
though.
that's what I'm saying.
Correct,
Right.
because they go
That's
all the
what
way
I'm saying
down.
to you.
Is North Carolina the last, or is it Georgia's the
No,
last?
Georgia.
No, 'cause,
I think North Carolina might be the last.
thought North Carolina was.
I think it was. I think North Carolina
Because
is
North
the
Carolina
last.
encompassed
Or
South
South Carolina.
Well,
Maybe
North
South Carolina.
Well, North Carolina encompassed South Carolina
Back in the day.
until they
Correct.
redrew the borders.
Correct.
Okay, but geography aside, I thought people from New England or from Connecticut were mostly Giants fans. If I'm not
Well, so
mistaken.
here's the conundrum with Connecticut, and I think you can since you live there as well too, right? It's either your Yankees or your Red Sox.
Yep.
Right. You were back in my day was either Rangers or Bruins, but we also pulled for the Hartford Failures, also known as the Hartford Whalers.
Oh, yeah.
AKA.
I have a Hartford
And they got
Whalers
the
hat.
Wolf Pack.
Oh,
now.
dude, I used to go to a
Whalers.
lot of Wolfpack games after the Whalers left, but the Whalers then became the Carolina Hurricanes.
Really?
Yeah,
that's right.
They moved from Connecticut,
Yep.
and then they spent the year in Greensboro, and then once they finished
Yeah.
building the stadium, they were over in
right.
Raleigh. So, so it's weird. Connecticut's one of those weird states where there's no professional sports.
No.
Right? If you wanted to go to an amusement park, you went to
Six
Six
Flags.
Flags, New Jersey.
Yep.
Right? If you wanted to go to see the real ocean with real waves, you went to Rhode Island, or you
Or
went
Cape Cod.
Cape Cod.
yeah, you went to Massachusetts, you went somewhere else because Long Island, all the waves broke on Long Island. And we had Long Island Sound, which is the in-between before you had Long Island, the body of water, and the state of Connecticut. So it was weird. Connecticut's one of those weird states. Like, if you wanted to do something, you had to leave.
Yeah, because it's a small state. It's
It
like
is.
all the
I mean,
states are very small.
It is
It's
actually
like-
It'll
it's like a
take you an hour
cluster.
to go,
Yeah.
from side to side. But again, it's one of those things that's like, it does have its New England charm where it's like, man, you want to go see some foliage? Get up to New England. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, even those states like Vermont, New Hampshire, all the same way. I mean, there's a lot of history up there and everything like that too. But yeah, it's weird. So like
Dan's from Connecticut, but he went to Philadelphia. I mean, he went
Yeah.
far south.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, Philly's a great city. My in-laws lived in Philly for years. So we lived in. I used to drive down from Connecticut to visit my girlfriend at the time, now my wife. every weekend, And the fastest I ever did that trip from Connecticut to Philadelphia was 2.5 hours.
Wow.
On a Friday.
wow.
Yeah, on a Friday. That's going over the GW Bridge and everything.
Yeah.
I was flying.
Wow.
I mean, I was legally doing the speed limit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
Get
yeah,
you a
but I
cop,
love Philly.
yeah.
Philadelphia is a great city. They used to live. They were over in Northeast Philly by Mayfair District.
Sure.
So we used to go to the pretzel factory all the time. That was right there. That was when walking distance and stuff like that. But yeah, South Street, love all that stuff, man. Philly's a great city.
Florian,
Philly.
did you in the car? You said you had a story you wanted to tell us today on the podcast.
Oh, I
or maybe it was
did,
a couple
yeah.
days ago.
Damn it, Daniel. He's
Got a
fighting
little
all over my
foot
thigh
scene.
here. Yeah, I just had like this funny story. Me and Daniel the other day. So we own a pool business. And that's a great transition, by the way. It has nothing to do with what we were talking about. I like that though. Shut up, Florian. We were in line at the DMV. So we own a pool cleaning business. We're in the works of getting his truck signed over to the company, right? And our company's based out of Charlotte. It's in Valentine area. And so we had to, we thought he lives in Rock Hill. Sorry, context. So we're thinking, okay, we'll just get a license plate and everything, everything switched over into the company's name, and we could keep it in South Carolina. So we went to the DMV that's right across the street from our neighborhood. Okay, and we're walk in there, and it's easily like an hour and a half wait, right? We're waiting online, and it actually moves faster than what it is. And we get to the lady, and she ends up saying, "Listen, you have to get a North Carolina plate because your business is in North Carolina." Like, oh shit. Okay, so we have to drive to the closest DMV, 45 minutes away. As we're walking outside, while we were in there, we noticed this girl, beautiful woman, some assets, we'll say. It's just great. Okay,
Some huge
assets.
and we had our guy talk our side conversation. Like, God damn. Anyway, we're walking outside, and there's a guy ahead of me, and he the chick that we were looking at, right? She walked out with her family or whoever she was with, right? And then this random guy, completely unrelated, opens the door for us and lets us out. Like, okay, great. And he follows us. And Daniel starts walking off, and I'm kind of trailing behind him a little bit. And this random guy just goes, I don't know who this is. I have no idea. He made the greatest comment of all time. He wasn't the chick was Hispanic or something like that. And he was not. He just goes, he comes right next to me and he goes, "Goddamn buenos noches." I'm like, what? And I'm looking at her like, yeah, okay, yeah, buenos noches. Good night, baby.
Yeah.
Holy shit. The funniest thing I've ever heard of in my life. I'm like, dude, I don't know who you are. He didn't say anything except that, walked right back inside.
Yeah.
He literally opened the door for us just to look and be like, damn.
he had to tell
and
you
then
that.
walked right back in. I'm like, what the fuck?
You just had to let somebody know.
Yeah.
Dude, hilarious, dude. What a funny
He knew
guy.
what he was about.
Well, Chris, we're about to hit our time limit. Is there anything else you wanted to say? Anything you wanted to bring up before we head out of here?
No, let's try this last beer.
Sure, let's do it.
Oh,
Little
yeah.
cherry wine, little cherry wine.
Oh,
ale.
okay. I already
Do we have
drank
one
it.
or two? Do we have one or two more?
No, one
last
more.
one.
Where's the
Just
can? Hand me the can right there.
This is like a cherry cough drop.
Yeah.
See, and
It's a great way to describe it.
Well, you said you like it.
Yeah, so
I love it.
So to me, cheer wine and beer has a lot of breweries have tried it.
I don't want
And to
Really?
me personally, this is Noda out of Charlotte. Shout out to them. To me personally, because obviously everybody's palate's different. That's what makes the world go round. This one hit the closest to an actual cheer wine without getting into that cherry medicine flavor realm for me. 'Cause
Yeah.
I've had other ones that was like, oh my God, this reminds me of my childhood and like dry
Medicine.
heaving.
The cherry
after,
cough
like,
medicine.
Yeah, like dry heaving after that. So like to this, like it got the effervescence and the carbonation right, which is a big deal because usually sodas are very carbonated.
Yeah.
And beers usually aren't super carbonated. So to me, it kind of hit right. And like I said, and the cherry flavor was also spot on. So, yeah. So I enjoyed it. We sell this beer at the restaurant, and it does quite well.
I love the beer too.
Yeah, when it first dropped, I think we ended up ordering like 5 cases, and we were out by the weekend. I mean, yeah, it's just one of those things that like people just love cheer wine, and the fact that they can get it with the
Cheer
beer.
wine's from North Carolina.
Yeah, it's
I
right there in
think kind of
Salisbury.
like Coke, like people just assimilate that brand with the beer, and they're like, oh, I may not love the beer, but I'm definitely going to at least order it a couple times.
So, like,
Shout
to
out
me,
to
that's
Noda,
great.
Noda Brewing. I would say my favorite beer from this brewery. I love it a lot.
100%.
100%. Yeah.
Gross.
that's what we're trying. It's really good. I love it. And you're right. It is like closest to cheer wine you can get in a beer. Like
Because like I said, there's a couple of different breweries that have tried it, and it's just like, this is
a little much.
Flavor. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and it's hard. It's really hard to get that balance. It's like going back to the very first beer we tried, like peach. Peach is one of those things that it's super difficult for it to kind of come through in the flavor.
It is.
So for to any brewery that like nails it like and gets it right, I mean that's kudos to them, because it is very difficult to get the fruited stuff. Now that you're using purees and stuff like that, rather than, so it's more of a concentrated flavor rather than like, oh, we squeezed 50,000 limes into this beer and I'm like, cool, I'm still getting no lime flavor.
dope.
So yeah, so
Cool. That was good. That was
Cheers,
delicious. Hey, Chris, appreciate all the brisket.
yeah, absolutely, guys. Thanks for coming out.
amazing.
Great brisket.
Yeah,
Great
if-
demonstration,
if-
too.
Everyone that's listening has to come out to Biscuits, Brisket, and Beer.
The funny part is you were looking right at the sign and still
I
said
still said it wrong. You're right.
Daniel was going.
I was trying not to say it wrong, and I still said it wrong.
Remember, he said he
dyslexia.
couldn't read. He
yeah,
was
yeah,
half,
that's true.
half
That's true.
lying.
He said he
half
couldn't
lying.
read. That's
You're
true.
right. So I'm going with the thing. Yeah.
That is true. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys. Thank you all so much for driving up here on a Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm sure you had better things to do than to come hang out with me, but I
No.
appreciate you guys.
No,
Nope.
Not
We're
at all.
losers. Yeah. Sounds
I'm
like
not sure
me.
what you think I have going on in my
Yeah.
life, but
Well, you own a pool business. It's the middle of the summer, so and
Yeah.
you're in the Ballantine area, so
not
like
on
you're right.
Sundays,
You
baby.
know.
I can tell you.
Sundays
that.
are only day off.
That's the only
That's
day
the
off.
It's the
That's
Lord's Day.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's right.
Yep.
Exactly.
Nomine
So,
Padre.
there you go.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I feel like I rambled on quite a bit and didn't get to half those questions. So I'm like eager to answer all those questions off the podcast, or we just make a volume 2. So
Yeah.
There we go.
We can do that.
V2.
We'll be around for a
V2.
long time.
That's right. That's right. Well, I appreciate you guys. Thank you all so much. This was a ton of fun. So
Hell yeah.
I appreciate
Same,
it. Man.
same.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this has been episode 76 of the Flights of the Round Table podcast. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, wonderful week, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Peace.
Prost.
Inshallah.